Hello, personal productivity enthusiasts and community. Welcome to Anything But Idle, the Productivity News Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Co-working Space by Personal Productivity Club. I'm Ray Sidney-Smith,
I'm Augusto Pinaud.
and we're your hosts for Anything But Idle. This is episode 116. AI comes to Windows, and we're recording this on May 30th, 2023. I hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day holiday, those of you who celebrated here in the States. Of course, each week, Augusto and I cover the productivity news headlines of the week, so you know what's going on in the world of personal productivity and its related technologies. With that, Augusto, let's get into our headline. What's our first headline this week?
So, our first headline of the week, it says 7 positive effect of taking time off for mental health, and it's come from Psychology Today, and it talks, improve mental well-being, productivity, physical health, work-life balance. Um, but more than the 7 positive effects, it is important to remember that we are not machines and that we need to take this breaks and we need to take this time off and we need to take these health days. And as a productivity coach and consultant, one of the things that I heard often is I don't have the time to take a day, or 2 days, a weekend. And I understand it. So if you don't have those times, then you need to figure out, maybe look at this list of 7 things and figure it out how you do a smaller increments of this. As somebody teach me early in my career, as I was complaining about not having enough time to write, and he said, "Well, describe me your writing routine." Well, my writing routine required 2 or 3 hours of work. That, of course, I never have that window. And the person said, "Well, how about you write in 15 minutes increments?" Impossible. And that was my first reaction. And I think it's the same thing in these cases. We think taking the time off need to be this long day, weekend, longer period of time, but the reality is it not. It can be that small fragment of time. But regardless if you can take those 24 hours or you can only take 8 minutes, it is very, very important and it has very important effects.
Yeah, I really like the idea of a mental health day, and I will probably start thinking about it. I've of course heard it over the years, people saying they were taking them, but from a greater productivity perspective, having that time off and not it being predicated on a federal holiday or being predicated on a weekend would kind of be more useful to me, like saying I'm going to take off a Tuesday or a Wednesday and take that just like you would for a recovery day from the gym, kind of taking that recovery day for mental health and wellness perspective. So I really like that concept. All right, on to our next story, Augusto.
Are productivity hacks holding you back? The surprising truth about effectiveness. That's the title of the article. It come from Business Leader magazine, and it was a very nice article, and come with certain things, that may sound basic, but you understand what the writer called the son of genius. So, what is that time that you work the best? And she said something very interesting. Say, optimizing your calendar. So, email tells you what other thing you should be working on. Your to do tells you what you think you should be working on. And the reality lives in the middle. And that middle is your calendar. The calendar really is what shows you where are you with that and where are you going to go. And aside of that, it talks about, hey, taking time to reflect and planning. And I have said over the years many times, the more busier you are, the more time you need for this reflection and planning time, because the less time you have to mess up, to pick the wrong thing, to do the wrong activity. Um, it also talk about setting systems, and I agree. I disagree on the way she put it, and the setting system, not a series of hacks. And I believe the hacks are very important, but setting the system, important. And finally, setting this I love. It should say setting expectations with others, creating a user manual to me, and that's something that I have never put on those terms, but that I have done for many many years, and set the expectations from people very very clear. This is what you can expect. This is what you can connect with. These are the hours that I will not respond to you, and be upfront with all those things so people know what to expect and what are they going to get from you.
Yeah, so I think I also disagree with the terminology of calling anything hacks. I don't think that really makes much of a difference to what she's really talking about here. It's a good title, to kind of get you to click on the article. But the techniques themselves, I think, are useful. I think um, the ultimate goal here is to be able to create a cohesive personal productivity system that is
Mhm.
one that fits you, a design that works for you, right? Like your system is your system. It's personal. So what works for me is not going to necessarily work for you. It may inform and help you understand what might work for you, but it's not the one that you should adopt, full sail. So the goal here is to be able to figure out the mechanisms that you can use, the tools, strategies, techniques that combined become something useful for you. And I think many times we forget that piece of it. I have a user manual myself, so I really appreciate that concept. And so, I have a home manual and I have an estate manual. Basically, should I not be able to manage my own home, and life, these are the things that need to be managed, you know, without me being able to make those decisions. And I like the 5-page playbook she created. It's kind of a GTD system that she has
Mhm.
informed through her own productivity system, and this works for her, right? It wouldn't work for me. So, as I was reading through it, I was like, no, 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 scratch that, no, no, yes, maybe, yes, yes, no. And so it was really nice though to see somebody else really itemize and just kind of explicate her entire system in a very succinct, clear way. And I think we should all do that in some way, shape, or form because it really helps us galvanize what things we actually use and what we don't use. And I think that's very, very helpful.
Yeah, and for I have discussed in cross platform. I have discussed in Productivity Cast what I call my technology card, and in the technology card is at the end of the day part of that manual is a subcomponent of this manual where I discuss and cover for me. This is for nobody else. What is the technology in my world, and what are the plays they do? Why do I use them? How do I use them? So that way, when I need to think or want to upgrade or look for cool things like every week because of the show, okay, that may make the list, it's a very easy now comparison. I can pull that list and say where this is going to fit and move on.
All right, on to our next story.
Well, our next story is from Hack Spirit, and it's 15 routine changes that will make a huge impact on your productivity. Wake up earlier, and I love wake up earlier. Okay, um I have two kids, I have a wife, I have a dog, and I love that time before anybody is up that I can, and I do different things depending on the day. I have learned that not everybody wake up early and it's fine. What I discover for me is I need to wake up every day at the same hour. It doesn't matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. What may change is the activity that I do. Sundays, for example, I tend to read more those hours than get productive. But it is important to understand what works for you. Create a to-do list, prioritize your task, and obviously the two of us, are big into getting things done, and that's the system that we use for that. Embrace the power of saying no, eliminate distractions, and 10 more. Go and read the article, but remember, as you read the article, some of the things may sound very cool. Some of the things will be like, eh. And some of the things will be a no. and it's fine. Okay, doesn't matter what. All these things are just ideas, ideas that you should or can consider to make your system better. And some of them are going to work incredibly well, and some of them are going to be awful, and it's fine. What is important is that you identify what you are looking to do. When I begin working, waking up early, I wrote about it, and used to say that I belong to the Owl Club. Okay, that was the people who get to work, have dinner, and then start reworking again at 11:30 p.m. or midnight and work until 3 in the morning. And I did that for years. And then suddenly one day I discovered, well, what if I go to bed at 8 or 9, and then wake up at 4? And I discovered that because I was fresh, I was way more effective. But it was trial and error. Okay. At that time, if you will have told me, well, you will do better in the morning, I will have used colorful words and tell you you're insane. Okay. Now I wake up every day that early and I enjoy that silence.
Yeah, I think it's a good article. Again, it's providing you with a bunch of little, interventions that you can utilize, some techniques that you can utilize as well. I think all of those things are useful and helpful as you make your way along. All right, so with that, we have reached the end of our personal productivity articles for this episode. We're going to take a break for a word from our sponsor, then we'll be back for our productivity technology articles this week.
While working in person may be normal for you, it's unlikely your coworkers are as interested in being productive as you are. Or working remotely or from home can be isolating. And there's something powerful about being with productive people, even virtually, that helps you be more engaged. If a flavor of these sounds familiar, Co-working Space by Personal Productivity Club is for you. Co-working Space is a virtual work community designed to help members be more effective and efficient in their work and personal lives. At its core, we provide goal tracking and host focused action sessions throughout the week for accountability and camaraderie. Visit anythingbutidle.com/coworking to learn more. Co-working Space lives inside Personal Productivity Club, a digital community for personal productivity enthusiasts, so you can find people who use methods and tools you do too. Again, head over to anythingbutidle.com/coworking to see how Co-working Space can help you be more productive. And now, back to our show.
Welcome back, everybody, to Anything But Idle, the Productivity News podcast. Augusto, let's move our way on to the technology articles this week. What's our next headline?
Okay, this next article you found it was on Google Unboxed. I don't follow that. That you are the one who follow that. But it's titled, "I wish Google Search and Assistant accept mixed bilingual input from voice queries." And I understand. I that article hit close to home. I speak English. I speak Spanish. I'm trying to read Portuguese, and it is painful. It doesn't matter if it's Google or is Madame A or is the Madame S. Why? Why you cannot dictate. The one I'm going to say that do it better is Madame A. When you do it, you can go and set up an Spanglish version that kind of understand you on both languages, but why this is not possible? Get it? I understand the article is talking about Japanese and English. Maybe that's a, additional complexity. I don't know, but it will be so cool to be able to dictate and tell to these people in the language that is coming to your mind instead of trying to say, "Oh no, hold on, this thing will not understand me. Let me translate what I want to say," and then lose the momentum.
Yeah, no, I purposefully found this article for you, Augusto. I have nothing else to say about it. I think that it's just important for, I think, the powers that be and anyone who is in that space to recognize that multilingualism, while it's not as a part of the American culture, right? Other than some other countries where most people speak multiple languages, the United States, most people speak one language. It is still a huge problem for us all, and it actually limits us in our ability to be, you know, great, in some way, shape, or form as a country, if we can't speak to people in the culture and language in which we're trying to operate. So
Yeah, for my friends in Europe who speak more than one language, English and their local language and maybe another one, it is a massive pain because now you need to define, okay, should I configure this system in this language or this other language? And I can tell you, I spend most of my day speaking English, but there is a moment where you're mentally tired, okay? And the pronunciation, let's say, degrades, okay, to be really kind with myself. It will be very nice to in that moment tell yell to the assistant what you want in the language that you want. Anyways, Google's rolling out a new side panel for customized Chrome. So you will get now a panel and you will be able to get more prettier customizations, a little bit better customizations. So hopefully for the users of Chrome and the customizations. I don't use much of it. I like the color. I use two or three of them, and I like the fact that if I look at them on the top of the bar on the color, I know exactly on which company I am working on. But other than that, I don't customize it that much.
yeah, so for folks who are kind of unaware of what happens when you currently go to customize the new tab space, you are basically popped into a pop-up window, right? So there's a window that kind of comes up in front of you, and you can edit your background, various shortcuts. The shortcuts that are displayed on that new tab. You can identify which cards you want to show, and then of course, color and theme. That's also available when you click on the profile image in the Chrome toolbar. And so you can click on that and click on the little pencil icon. It'll just display another profile customization option. But that new customize this page button, which is the little tiny pencil icon that appears in the new tab window in that bottom right hand corner, you are able to then go ahead and in the newest version will basically give you a side panel for those customization options. So it's literally just a change in how the new tab customization options will display. That's it. So there's not anything changing necessarily. It's just the way in which they're going to display those items, which I think is probably a little bit cleaner than the way in which the pop-up window currently appears. All right, on to our next story.
So our next two stories are all about Amazon. The first one is, and I would love to hear about this. Amazon Kindle Scribe is getting limited handwriting and text conversion. And I said this when Amazon announced this device. Amazon is one of the few companies who have the patience to lose profit on a line long enough to really introduce features that then others can run and make millions out of that. That's the reality. But and they are proving this. They are making this device coming to the mainstream. People getting the idea, and it is interesting because the more this device, it's getting into the noise, okay, and people is getting into people's ears. What I have heard is not people getting the scribe, but it's people wondering about handwriting. It's people wondering if they will be able to do this or that if they buy a device with handwriting capabilities and take notes and all this. So that said, it is very interesting that Amazon, again, in Amazon fashion, they continue improving. Now you can take notes on pages, you can select more things. So, have you had the chance to play with this? I know you have a scribe, so I'm curious.
I have not had a chance. I've not seen the update come across my scribe yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. The limitation is that you do need to do this outside of the notebook, right? So you have to actually, click on the share menu, and then there will be an option to convert to text and quick send, or there's an option to convert to text and email. So it's not like you're in the notebook and you're automatically able to go ahead and do that, or a la GoodNotes where you can circle the text and automatically turn it into text, right? That's not going to be necessarily maybe the scribe is just not powerful enough to basically do that while it's still inside of that notebook environment with everything loaded up. I don't know, but it would be much more fluid, obviously, if you can select the text that you've written and automatically turn that into text. I presume that's going to be their future iteration on that feature. But so far, I think it's a great movement forward. And I think I've probably said here on Anything But Idle that I don't want that option in the past. And then in the past couple of weeks, I realized that I do want that option. So I stand corrected from the fact that I think that it actually would be really helpful, because after you do write a lengthy set of notes in handwriting, you do actually want to sometimes, not always, but sometimes want to turn that into text. And I've taken that text now and run it through OCR engines, and it just isn't doing the job well enough, because I've had to export it out of it, and all of that machination that kind of degrades the ability for OCR to work. So it'd be really nice to be right there in the tool and on the scribe tablet. So I'm looking forward to seeing this develop. All right, on to our next item, which is the
Next
new
one
Fire
is
Max.
Amazon launches the Fire Max. It's a $230 tablet, and they are trying to make basically a larger. They are trying to compete now with the iPad size, the Note 8, the Samsung Galaxy Tab 8. Okay, that 11-inch size. That it is a fantastic size. So it's very compelling. If it's not because I should learn from the podcast that I do. And we had this discussion, not about this device, but about other device in cross-platform with our Gelwigs. The reality is I should buy this device just to have it in the desk. But the problem is going to be underpowered, and I'm going to be very frustrated. And I think that's where Amazon is making a mistake, in my opinion. They are trying to compare this device with the iPad. They are trying to compare this device with the Galaxy Tab 8, and it is not. It is going to be an underpowered device comparing to those, and it is not going to provide you the same experience. And I think they were doing much better on the prior strategy of this is our device, even if you add the keyboard and all that, but it's not going to compare. It's not going to try to compete with those machines that are simply faster. They have a better processor, etc. So that's the only thing on which I think they're wrong. That said, I think the price point it's right, and for many very basic users, it's going to be a fantastic machine. For many old parents, it is fantastic. Now you give them the Amazon TV, you give them the Kindle books on a size that they can carry, and they can also do email and a couple of basic things. So it has a perfect place. It's just, I'm not sure about the marketing, and try to compare it with the iPad, not for any other reason that is underpowered.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is saying that this is the cost-effective version of the iPad. Setting people up for understanding that this is a lower-powered version, and that's what makes it more affordable. I mean, even with the keyboard folio, kind of the attached pogo pin keyboard, it still comes out to only $329, something like that, $330 USD. That's a remarkable, remarkably good price for a tablet of an 11-inch size with a keyboard and a stylus. And a lot of people are going to buy this, right? So, there's going to be a lot of folks who buy this. And that's what makes it an iPad challenger. I don't think any of its specs put it anywhere near an iPad, but it's going to challenge the iPad in terms of sales. And this is coming out just on the heels of the Pixel tablet that Google just announced at I/O. So we have the Pixel tablet. This is nowhere near the iPad or the Samsung Galaxy tabs. These are not meant to compete with them on a spec perspective. It's meant to compete with them on a products sold perspective, right? You're going to see a lot of people purchase these Fire Max 11s purely because they're inexpensive, and they can put them into the hands of the kids or into grandma or grandpa, and they're going to get a decent device, right? It's going to do everything they need it to do, maybe it's not going to do it as well. It's not going to have as many fancy features. You're not going to get center stage like on the iPad or anything else like that. But you're gonna get a decent tablet, and it's going to do the job. It's going to last a year or two, and then you'll rinse, repeat, and buy another one. And that's kind of what people have been doing with these pieces of technology.
Yeah.
All right, on to our next story.
Todoist is adding start time and duration. They announce in Reddit that they are starting to work in these two features that, according to them, is one of the two features that people has ask and ask and ask for them. Um, I don't know about duration field. I was an OmniFocus user for many years, and duration was never a field that I care for. Start time, I get it, but duration, I don't know. But anyways, apparently, according to Todoist, is the two of the most requested features. So they are coming. If you're a Todoist user, they are coming soon to you.
Yeah, I find it remarkable only because my task manager of choice has always had it. So the fact that it never had it and they refused to kind of add the features after the fact, it was purposeful. I mean, they chose not to put those items in. And now that they are, that's good on them. But I've always had it, and actually always completed the duration field remarkably. I don't always use the start field for things unless they are of a project nature. And that's only because my saved searches don't really apply most of the time for a start date. But I think that it's good to have. I mean, there are certain circumstances where you want to be able to understand that a task is not going to last just, I'm going to sit down and do the task and check it off. It may last over the course of several days, that you might be doing little bits of that thing until it's done. And this gives you that ability to kind of to not only track that over days, but also to understand that I'm going to spend 6 days, 5 minutes each. So that's going to be 30 minutes. And it tells me the duration of the time over that course of days. Or for me, I like to time budget. So during my weekly review, I'm actually going through, and that duration field is being utilized because I can see in the course of a week how much time I've allotted for the coming week. And if I look at my calendar, and it shows me that I have 5 free hours in a week, in a work week, but I have 16 hours of work. Well, I need to reconcile that before the week begins, right? And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, because I presume that there's going to be a meeting that falls off here. There's going to be an event that I'm not going to go to here, and then I'll ultimately have that time. But that's finessing the system, and you need to know your own system really well over the course of time in order to be able to make those kinds of judgment calls. It's kind of a very advanced kind of GTD thing to say. Oh yeah, well I'm gonna leave this overbooked, knowing that there's going to be some attrition in my calendar, which I know that I only budget my calendar 60%. So I know there's 40% left, but I always still try to make sure that in that time frame, I have enough time to do the tasks that I have listed. So, you sometimes will know there's a little bit of wiggle room, and you might have a stretch goal of getting a little bit more done than you decided to do. But knowing that duration really does help me in a lot of ways. So I particularly find it useful that Todoist is adding that. And it's another, just adding it to the list of things that create parity with other task managers that makes me think, well, if I needed to go to Todoist, now I could, right? And that's a really nice feeling.
So our next one, or last news on this side, is a new company called Space Stop. And basically they create a laptop who use AR, VR glasses and can give you until 100 inches of virtual display. I understand this should be maybe more on the announcements or rumors area, okay? Because all the announcements coming or rumors that are for next week, and Apple launching something like that. But I put it in here because this will be an interesting change. And if we start seeing this will be very interesting. As I look at my office, I would love to, remove everything out of that, just put the glasses that anyways I'm wearing all the time, and now see, 100 inches of screen. And that will be beautiful. So if the company is already selling some of them, is use their own operating system. You can use Word and some of the classic things, but take in mind right now, at least, is their own operating system. But as we see these things, if they really catch up in the market, we may see more and more. The VR glasses companies are trying to get with video games and all that to this concept of, put your glass and play the video game this way. So this is just a company who has taken it to work. Or
Yeah, I see the evolution as interesting. It's novel. I think the approach that they took, which is to create their own laptop as opposed to focusing explicitly on the headset, is definitely an interesting kind of step
Mhm.
in a direction. I don't know if that's going to be market viable, but I will say that I think that the next phase for us is some kind of augmented reality where our screens do become versatile, right? We won't just have a screen that's attached to our laptops. Maybe we do have a pair of glasses that we can put on a la Google Glass or something like that, where it's not fully obstructing our vision, but just augmenting it by placing the screen in front of us. Google already has a bunch of work going into their health technology that are, basically little lenses, contact lenses that you put in. It's a glucose monitor. But I can see that technology really fast forwarding into applying and adding augmented reality, technology into it. So it's just a matter of time. For those folks who don't wear glasses, it will be a weird change to have to put glasses on in order to be able to work,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. But we're going to see a lot of different versions of this coming forward. I mean, we're going to have to see whether is it a projector that they're going to put in your laptop and project onto a wall. Is it going to be augmented reality through a pair of glasses, or is it going to be something else? And I think we'll start to see many different form factors kind of playing here. And I think ultimately having the choice is good, because we'll be able to see what people use, what works for people, what doesn't work for people, and kind of go from there. All right, moving right along from our technology stories this week into new tools of the week. Augusto and I come across plenty of personal development, time, task, project management, and productivity collaboration tools and services every week. So in new tools of the week, we bring you each one that we think you might like. And so for the first item is a tool called MindStream. And MindStream is interesting because it runs on the Mac, and I've been playing around with it because the idea behind the MindStream app is that it's a native macOS Gmail client. And as most of you know, I run my entire company and my personal life inside of Google Workspace. And so all of those things are in there. And so the idea of having a Gmail client that's separate from the browser that can work as fast as Gmail is very difficult. So what the folks at MindStream did is that they are using the Gmail API. So you basically get everything that Gmail provides. That includes search. You have no idea how difficult it is to do Gmail search correctly, but they are doing it because they're using the Gmail API. You can use everything that you normally do in Gmail search, including advanced operators. You can see all of your inbox categories. So if you're using primary inbox, or if you're using priority inbox and the social promotions, updates, and forums categories, you'll see all of those labels. You can basically use everything that you use in Gmail, and it provides this like overlay, which gives you the ability to have multiple accounts and profiles. So you can say, I want to have a personal profile or a work profile, and these 3 email accounts are associated with personal, these 2 accounts are associated with work, and they're all organized inside of that space. And you can also then do unified inbox. So you can see all of those email inboxes interlaced into one screen, so you can process your inbox to 0 very, very quickly and easily if you're a GTDer like I am, and Augusto. So that's really nice. I also like the email feature, the compose feature. So they have all of those email composing features built right into it. It's really nice. It's seamless. Again, it's fast. And I found it to be really nice. It's not something that I will probably use all the time, just because I'm predominantly on my Windows machines and my Chromebooks these days. But when I open up the Mac, it's nice to have a Gmail client specifically dedicated to the computer, so that you can open it up and just get started, right? It's just really nice to do all of that. Plus, it's it's Mac OS specific, right? So everything that you do on the Mac, from focus mode to system notification management and being able to dock it and just keep it there in your dock, all of those things are there and just very, very seamless. There is a 14-day free trial, and then after that, I think it's $50 a year. So it's pretty nominal. I think they give you like a first year discount. So you get, like $30 for the first year, $50 each year after. But, you can try it with that 14-day free trial and see if it's something that you like and if it's something that would work for you. But like I said, I've been very impressed with it. And I'm not usually impressed with Gmail clients, but this one has been pretty phenomenal and they're doing a great job. I hope they bring a Gmail client to Windows, but I know they're Mac-ish and they're Mac focused, so I won't push on them like we do with what's the name of the other, what's the Mac tax
OmniFocus.
OmniFocus, yes, like we do with the OmniFocus folks, who eventually bent and did put out a Windows version, I think.
That's
right?
what I was going to say. They did finally for people.
Yeah. What's your tool this week, Augusto?
So I have two tools. They come both from a company called Moft, MOFT.us. And the two I have is one is a wall stand. And basically, it's a kind of an origami thing that you can put on the wall and then put your iPad on your phone in there. I have one here in the office. I have one in the side of my bed, so I can put things in there. It's a very, very nice device. And the other one is called the Flip Laptop, and basically is a stick with a magnet on the bottom where you can put then a sticker on the back of your, in my case, the iPad or the laptop, and then you can put the phone, or if you have the MagSafe, in my case, on the top, or in the side, so that way you can put the phone next to the iPad. I use both things. They are very, very useful. The links are going to be in the show notes. But if you like to have a place to put your phone, a place to put your tablet when you wanted to work against your desk, if you work against a wall, those two are incredible, incredible tools.
Fantastic. And with that, that takes us along to our featured story of the week, which is that AI is coming to Windows, specifically Windows 11, I believe. But what did you learn about Microsoft and the launch of Copilot?
So it's been interesting because with all these AI personal assistant, or the AL assistants, as my dad calls it. Can you explain to me all these AL assistants? All the what? Yeah, the all assistants. I have no clue what you're talking about. Well, I'm reading the Copilot, all the Google. What is it? Oh, you mean the AI personal assistant? No, that thing. It took me a while to figure out the translation. Anyways, we are trying right now to make our own flavor of each one of those. And you have ChatGPT, and you have Microsoft coming to them, Google. There is a rumor that Apple will come to theirs. And I don't think yet a lot of people understand how beneficial these things are. And eventually they will get there. And we will see. It's going to be in a certain way similar to the browsers war, okay, where you start seeing these browsers coming in and you're going to find what is the AI that fits really your needs, your style. Because the AI, it's only as good as the questions you are asking. And the reality is, as Microsoft and Google and Apple and others will do their own way to make these questions give you a result, give you something coming back. So it is going to take time, but I am very curious. I'm not a big Microsoft product. I get it. I think I will trust more AI from Google than from Microsoft, but that's me.
Yeah, so I think this is probably very exciting for Microsoft to be able to put this out. So this basically is two things in one. One is that if you have seen Cortana lately, please put her in the lost and found, because she's been missing for some time, and that's been on purpose, right? Microsoft has been slowly but surely deprecating parts of Cortana, and what is now called Copilot. In this particular iteration, there are many different Copilots in the Microsoft world, and this Copilot is baked into Windows 11. It'll start to preview in June. And the idea is that you'll have basically a kick-out side panel that is a chat-focused, AI assistant. And similar to Cortana, it will be conversational. It will be able to do things for you, and it will also probably be generative, meaning that it will be based somewhat on the OpenAI ChatGPT model, whatever the latest model is that at that time. Right now we're at GPT-4, so it'll probably be at that level when it launches in June, unless OpenAI puts out a later model of it. So the concept is that instead of interacting and engaging with the start menu or the Windows, button, or using keyboard shortcuts to navigate to certain things, you are now going to basically open the side panel or have the side panel open on a consistent basis and start asking it to do things. And this is a little bit different than saying, I want to open up a Word, Microsoft Word, and write a document. What you're going to do is you're going to ask OpenAI, that is, you're going to ask a Copilot, which is running on top of ChatGPT. You want to ask the Copilot to basically come up with a work product, right? And you're going to give it the parameters, and then it's going to decide on potentially what applications you need in order to be able to do that. So is it going to open up a search? Is it going to open up Teams? Is it going to open up Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you name it, and bring those things to the surface? You're now interacting via conversation with regard to the assistant versus opening up applications and using the assistant necessarily inside of that tool one by one. This is going to be a huge kind of brain change for a lot of us, right? Because we're used to going into a software, doing a thing, going into the next software and doing a thing. And this Copilot should, over time, be able to do many things simultaneously or in very close succession to be able to facilitate workflow automation in a way that we haven't seen before. I'm really looking forward to this being available on all operating systems in all ways, especially for newer generations where this will become the primary vehicle by which they operate. Will I always operate via AI, being that I grew up with a keyboard and mouse and then kind of graduated to a touch screen? Maybe not. But for younger people who will have only known the ability to have a conversation with a computer and it being the thing that taps the buttons and makes the ones and zeros, the bits flip, then it just becomes a new way for it to be able to organize and be more productive. I think this is going to be very powerful. I think it's going to be very interesting. Of course, getting us to this far is a parlor trick, right? This is not something that we haven't already had. This is just putting a clean interface, a new interface on top of technology that I believe we've already had the capability of doing. That is Microsoft, Apple, Google, and the other major technology companies. What will be very interesting to me is in the next 4 to 5 years, whether or not they can go, this is maybe 70 to 80% of the way toward, I hate using the term artificial intelligence, but in this particular case, some forms of machine learning, natural language processing, and otherwise. We've bundled those things together. Now we need to see whether or not we are getting to a point where we can get across that threshold to some true intellect, right? Something that can actually go beyond where we are with regard to these tools' ability to communicate with each other and to create something that is truly artificially intelligent. Right now, it's just really artificial feature. It's like a flip phone that's really, really fast, right? We're dealing with flip phone technology right now in the AI space, and what we would really like to get to is the smartphone level of all of this. And I think even then, it's not a replacement for a human. It's potentially a replacement for particular roles in companies. So there are going to be jobs that are lost in this process, but there potentially will also be jobs that are created. And I think that the important part is that we figure out how to utilize this for our own productivity purposes. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Copilot works. And if it works just as well as the Palm and the embedded AI within Google Workspace, and seeing how those things kind of facilitate, one in the cloud and one here on the desktop operating system. All right, do we have any other items, Augusto, that we want to let our audience know about?
On our announcements, we have a couple. Microsoft Build 2023 is there. There is a link if you want to see a short, under 10 minutes keynote or resume of the keynote. Also, on those announcements, Microsoft and release a Windows backup app. And to my knowledge, this is the first time that they do something like that. They seem to be trying to make their Windows integrate closer to what Mac has been doing for a long time. And for what I understood is, in Microsoft way, similar to what it was or what it is, Time Machine, where will do the backups and you will be able to restore. Finally, next Monday, the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference returns. We may not talk next show because we'll be on Monday unless we decide to move it to Tuesday, but we will, otherwise we're covering the week after all the things about the show. So this humble fan will be very ready to see. And in the rumors, this is the first time, there's been tons of rumors about Apple announcing some possibility of VR or AR glasses, and they seem to have invited XR media outlets to the conference and to the keynote. So that just put more fuel to that rumor that device is coming. And that make for all the news of this week.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, Augusto, as always, for being here on Anything But Idle and helping out to make the show happen. With that, we've covered the productivity and technology news this week. If there is something that we missed, feel free to head over to anythingbutidle.com/community. That will take you to Personal Productivity Club to join our private or whatever community dedicated to the Anything But Idle listeners. You can go ahead and let us know there. Of course, in the show notes that's on the website, so anythingbutidle.com/116 will be this episode's notes. Each episode number is related to the / for the domain. So anythingbutidle.com/116 is for this episode, 115 is for the last episode, that kind of thing. There you'll find the show notes. Those have links to all the stories, our tools of the week, extra stories, rumors, and as well, it also has on that page a text transcript that you can read and download in PDF. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to just come on over to anythingbutidle.com/community and post a question there in the feed. We'll be happy to go ahead and let you know. You can always join us here, typically Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern, U.S. Eastern, for the live stream where you can interact with us live. Of course, we're coming to you the day after because of the federal holiday, but typically we're recording these on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern. With that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Have a productive week. We'll see you all next time on Anything But Idle. Here's to your productive life.